Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Good.
Hey, how you doing? There we go.
And then is it just going to be you two, or do we have anyone else join?
Just us two.
Perfect. All right, then we can go ahead and get started. And then any questions for Fresh Access Bucks before we get started?
None yet. We're just ready to get it going. We got all of our coins and stuff in.
All of our tokens.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. And then when do you guys plan on launching?
As soon as we're able to. So right after this, maybe.
Yeah.
So you can start tomorrow.
Yeah.
We just got some grant money to market Snap and FAB. So as soon as we say go, our marketing team's gonna push it out to pretty much everybody within a 20-mile radius, and then a couple outer markets as well.
Perfect. I know, we're so excited. Okay, let's see. Get more slides together. All right, so we have our Fresh Access Bucks training today. I'll go over an agenda, but I'm Jordan Vittorino. I know I saw you guys on the staff call, and I'm the Southeast coordinator. And then I know Shane I've met, and then Josh, is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Perfect. Thanks. I know I kind of communicated via email, but I don't think we've actually met. All right, so our agenda for today, we're going to go over what is FAB, how FAB will work at your different outlets, SNAP fraud prevention, record keeping and reimbursement, and then outreach and promotion. And then this meeting is going to be recorded. So at the very end, probably next week, I'll have kind of an email for you guys with all the different resources that we'll go over, as well as the recording training of the training as well.
Cool.
All right, so this is just a map of the Fresh Access Bucks program. So FAB is a nutrition incentive program that matches SNAP dollar for Florida grown produce. And we are currently, I think, in our third year of our Gus CRR or Gus Schumacher grant. And then we do have funding for, I think your region will be through the Florida Blue Grant, which is why you guys have that extra reporting requirement. And then we currently have a couple outlets. We have farmers markets, farm stands, mobile markets, CSAs, and community grocers. And these markets, the numbers for these different markets kind of fluctuate just since we're onboarding markets like you. We did a couple farmers markets training this past couple of weeks as well. So these numbers aren't really accurate, but just to give you an idea of the different outlets throughout the state. All right, and then just a visual of FAB's impact. So we have our food insecure families, which we support, and that's through the SNAP incentive. And then the SNAP incentive can then be used at farmers markets and local grocers. So that kind of helps our producers and our small businesses, our local farmers, and then in turn kind of supports the local economy. All right, so in Florida, the nutrition incentive program is Fresh Access Bucks. There are also nutrition incentive programs in other states. So you might have heard of Double Up Food Bucks in Michigan and a couple of other states. And in Georgia, for example, it's Wholesome Wave. So it works a little bit differently state to state, but it's pretty much the same idea of nutrition incentive match. So for Fresh Access Bucks, we have a couple of different models. So you guys will be doing the token and discount model, and then we also have a retail model as well. And then I'll do like a quick overview of those three, and then I'll kind of dive deeper into the two models that you guys will be using. Right, so at farmers markets, it's centralized SNAP. So that means we have a SNAP booth. Do you guys have a SNAP booth, or are you going to be doing it at the 4Roots vendor market or the booth?
Probably at the 4Roots market, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So the market or that booth will accept SNAP on behalf of the other vendors. So a shopper can come up, they can swipe their SNAP EBT card. Just an example, if they swipe for 10, you guys will give them 10 SNAP tokens, and then you will also match for 10 FAB tokens. And then those tokens can be used at any of the SNAP or FAB eligible vendors throughout the market. And then at the very end of the day, they'll return those tokens to you and we'll reimburse you guys for SNAP or for FAB. Right. And then for the farmers markets, the cap is $40 a day. So for example, if a customer wants to get 10 in SNAP, they'll get an equal match in FAB. But if they want to swipe for 50 in SNAP, for example, they would only get up to that $40 match in FAB. All right, and then for our discount model, we have CSAs, mobile markets, online markets, and then we do have some farm stands that do the discount model as well. And with the discount, the shopper will get a direct discount on their total. So if their purchase is 50% or more of Florida grown produce, they will get 50% off of the total. And then if their total of Florida grown produce is less than 50%, they'll get the Florida grown produce for free. And then, like I said, we'll kind of go a little bit deeper into how these work, and then we'll also have some examples of the discount and token models as well. Right, and then we do have some community grocery stores, and it works a little bit differently there. So at the community grocery stores, the discount is given directly through the POS system, and shoppers can use Fresh Access Bucks on any produce. And that's because with our grocery stores, we kind of focus more on the back end and work with the grocery stores to source for more Florida grown vendors, and then that way shoppers can get Fresh Access Bucks on any produce. And then at those outlets, the cap is 10 per visit. And then it kind of works like a voucher system. So if they spend $10 in SNAP that day, they'll get a voucher for 10 in Fresh Access Bucks that they can use at their next visit. And then any questions before we kind of go over how it'll work at your farmer's market and the online market?
Yeah, I think I understand the farmer's market pretty good. I'll wait till after you explain the online a little bit more for questions on that.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So for our farmers markets, we have this handy printable that you guys can find in our FAB toolkit, which I'll also link for you guys. But it's just a quick visual of what is SNAP eligible and what is FAB eligible. So shoppers can use the white SNAP tokens for items such as bread, cheese, dairy, jams, meat, produce as well, vegetable starts, honey, and then coffee and then any bagged cheese. And then Fresh Access Bucks can be spent on produce, vegetable starts, and seeds. And then for both of those, shoppers won't be able to use tokens for kind of hot or prepared foods. So if you have any like food vendors, shoppers won't be able to use their tokens at those with those vendors. All right, and then again, what SNAP tokens can and can't be used for. And then these SNAP colors are, those tokens are specific to your market. So for 4Roots, you guys have the white SNAP tokens, and shoppers can only use those at your market. So we do have a couple other markets in the area that use tokens. So shoppers wouldn't be able to use your white tokens at their market. And then shoppers can't receive cash back when they shop with tokens. So they would have to get cash back, or sorry, change back in SNAP tokens.
Okay.
All right, and then the FAB tokens are the green tokens. And again, they can be used for Florida grown produce, any vegetable starts or seeds. And then green FAB tokens can be used at any FAB market that accepts tokens. And then tokens don't expire. So shoppers can swipe and get tokens at a market and they can save them for another day. And then the green ones can be used at various markets. And then same with the SNAP tokens, they can't receive cash back. They'll have to get FAB tokens as change. All right, and then for our vendors, I'll send this in a follow-up email as well. Do you guys have vendor contracts?
Not really.
Okay. So we have a template for vendor contracts that kind of goes over SNAP and FAB eligible items that I'll send over to you guys. But we have our contracts that are required for those vendors. And like I mentioned, kind of going over the FAB and SNAP eligibility. And then we do have printables of these token signs. This picture is, I think it's at the Audubon Park Market.
Okay.
So you can see they have orange SNAP tokens. So this signage is kind of different per vendor. So this vendor accepts both the SNAP and FAB tokens. So if you have a vendor that just accepts SNAP tokens, it's kind of an editable template, and you can just put the orange ones on there. And then different vendors who don't accept SNAP or FAB won't display these. So it kind of just makes it a little bit easier for our SNAP shoppers to find where they can spend their tokens and kind of which colors they can use. All right, and then just our vendor responsibilities. Like I mentioned, those signed vendor contracts, post clearly marked SNAP and FAB signage. Some markets create their own. Like I mentioned, we also do have that template. I think it's a Canva template,
Cool.
so you can edit it. And then accept tokens for eligible items only. So if a SNAP vendor only sells SNAP eligible items, just making sure they only accept the white tokens. And then return tokens to the market manager for reimbursement. So I know some markets, the vendors might like hold on to tokens. And then after a couple of weeks, they'll turn them in, or some vendors will turn them in every market day. But that's how they'll get their reimbursement for SNAP and FAB. And then review vendor FAB vendor contracts and guidelines. So same thing as the contract. All right, and then SNAP and FAB token security. So tokens should be treated like cash. So if someone loses the tokens, it's kind of the same thing as losing cash. So just making sure that tokens remain secured. So if you guys have like a lockbox for your cash, just keeping them at the same area. And then just remembering not to leave it unattended, similar to if you had like a cash box at the market. And then any questions for the token model?
For our other vendors at our market, if they're accepting the tokens, are we the ones paying them out, or is there like a process for that?
Yes, so for SNAP and FAB, SNAP I think goes directly, the payments go directly to your market.
Okay.
And then you would just reimburse them. I think I don't know, like if you guys have an accounting team that does that, but that's how they would get reimbursed for SNAP. And then for FAB, you guys give us that data, and then we'll reimburse you for the fresh access bucks, and then you would just pay out your vendors.
Got it. So for the FAB ones, you guys would reimburse us, and then we would turn around and reimburse them.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then I'll go over kind of the reimbursement procedure and how to use FM tracks for that a little later. And then any other questions for the farmers markets?
I think I'm good.
Yeah.
All right. All right, and then we'll move on to the online market, which is a little bit trickier. So it is the discount model. So like I mentioned, if 50% or more of the total is Florida grown produce, they'll get a 50% discount off of their total. And then that is also up to $40. And then if their total is less, or the Florida grown produce is less than half of their total, then they'll get the Florida grown produce for free. Right, and then similar to our token model, it's the same SNAP and FAB eligible items. Okay, and then here is just an example of how the discount works if the Florida grown produce is 50% more or if it's less. So for the first example, the shopper would have $6 in Florida grown kale and then $4 in bread. So the Florida grown produce is more than half of their total, so they would get a 50% off discount. So they would be charged $5 on their SNAP card, and then you guys would report $5 in FAB to us. And then if the Florida grown produce is less than 50%, we have this example: $6 in Florida grown kale, $4 of bread, and $4 in eggs for a total of 14. They would get the Florida grown produce for free. So they would be charged 8 in SNAP and then 6 in FAB, or you guys would report 6 in FAB. And just a tip, they are eligible for up to $8 in Florida grown produce. So it might make more sense to just encourage them to get another $2. So they just get the 50% discount.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. And then for your produce boxes, do you guys do like a pay ahead model, or is it per box?
We have a subscription model where they can pay ahead,
Okay.
pretty much, but it's a week to week type thing.
Okay. So the first kind of section won't apply to you. There are some CSAs that do. You can pay per month. And for that, SNAP payments can be charged up to 14 days in advance. And with a combination of SNAP and FAB, a customer would be able to pay in advance up to a month, since they would get kind of 50% discount. And then if you're doing delivery, SNAP cannot be spent on membership or delivery fees.
Got it.
All right, and then some other information for online orders. SNAP transactions have to be done in person, so payments can't be accepted online or via phone. We do have a couple of SNAP online SNAP markets, but it's kind of a pilot program. So if you guys are interested in kind of applying for that, you can let me know and I can send you the information. But for now, the majority of our Farm Direct markets will have to do SNAP payments in person.
We are in the process of getting
Ooh, really?
Snap, like integrated into our online store. Yeah.
Nice.
We just got our contract signed yesterday, the day before.
Perfect. And who are you working with?
I think it's a processor called Forage.
Yes. Perfect. Nice. I know a lot of markets don't have like the funding to do it, so that's why a lot of them do it in person, but that'll be nice.
Yeah.
And then for your online orders, how do shoppers use SNAP? Do they have to email in, or is there a way for them to kind of like pay at the point of pickup?
Right now, like we have like a couple workarounds for the online system. We've been passing out like a discount code if someone wants to use Snap. And then we can either like collect payment upon delivery or like when they pick up, and we just process their SNAP card on our iPad with the same processor that we use for the farmers market.
Okay. And then when I follow up, can you guys send me that information? Just I know when we put our information on like the locations page in the map, we can add that information for customers so they know how to use the online platform.
Yeah, we haven't openly advertised it too much for the online platform, just 'cause it's like kind of a pain in the butt for everyone, but we think like once we get the forage integrated and stuff, hopefully in like a couple weeks here, we can like have our marketing team start blasting it to the world for us.
Perfect. And then I'll leave that as is for now, and then yeah, you'll have to update me on the forage process. All right, and then SNAP fraud prevention. So just to keep in mind, monitoring the SNAP program at your markets. Ensure volunteers and staff have access to regulations. You can conduct secret shopping if you have the capacity. And then if you are suspicious of any fraudulent activity, you can report to the Florida Department of Children and Families and the USDA. And then also, if you're unsure of anything, you can also check in with us, the Fresh Access Bucks team.
Cool.
Okay. And any questions about the discount that I didn't cover?
I don't think so. We still got some time on the online, so if I do, I'll like circle back your way.
Perfect. Yeah, and I think it'll be much easier once you get the
once we get it up and
forage
running.
integrated. All right, so nutrition ed. So one of the requirements for our FAB partners is to hold 6 nutrition ed events per year. These are the wrong dates, but it'll be 23 to 24. So 1 year is considered like September to August. So like your contract year. And then nutrition ed events can include newsletters, recipes, taste tests, things like that. And then we also have kind of a nutrition ed guide that has examples if you need any. And then you'll report in FM tracks your nutrition ed events, and that's kind of how we'll make sure you guys are hitting that 6 nutrition ed event per year requirement. And then it's also included in our annual report survey. All right, and then the nutrition ed guide is available in the toolkit. And like I said, I'll send all these resources in a follow-up so you don't have to kind of keep track of everything. All right, and then anything else before we move on to kind of transactions and reimbursement?
Yeah.
Great. All right, so when a Snap Shopper makes a purchase, you'll keep track of it in a transaction log. So we do have a template for the discount and token models that you guys can use. Some markets have their own way of keeping track, but the main reason to have this is to keep track of the information that you're going to be inputting into FM tracks.
Okay.
And then the majority of our markets write it down, and then some use the app to input it like directly on market day.
I was gonna ask, is this something like we like print out and give like fill out at the market and then bring it back and input it into the website?
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
All right, so with our transaction log, you'll keep track of the customer ID. So that is the first letter of the first and last name, and then the last 4 digits on the EBT card, the zip code, the SNAP amount, and the FAB amount. And then on the, what is it, the right side, we have our vendor reimbursement. So this is an example of the token log. When the vendors come in at the end of the day, you'll write the vendor name, the amount of SNAP tokens that they turned in, and the amount of FAB tokens they turned in, and then just the amount total. And then this information will also be input into FM tracks.
So there's like a customer side and then like a vendor side.
Yeah, so in FM tracks, you'll put in the transactions, and then there's a spot for vendor reimbursements as well. Right, and then this is just an image of the EBT card. You guys might also get PEBT as well, but it'll work the same exact way as the Snap EBT card. And then again, the ID you'll write down is the first letter of the first and last name, and then the last 4 digits of the card. Right, and then before we jump into FM tracks, I'll just go over quickly the data we'll be putting in. So there are 3 different sections that you'll put in for reimbursement each week, and that's transactions, vendor reimbursement, and then the post-market report. And then transactions, again, is the FAB and SNAP distributed, and the customer ID, as well as their zip code. And then the vendor reimbursement, you'll include the vendor name, the SNAP and FAB that they turned in as well. And then the post-market report is where you will put your nutrition ed events if you had any, and then as well as any vendors you had that day, and how many staff and volunteers. And then any questions before we jump into FM tracks? All right, and then I will be training you guys on the old FM tracks, unfortunately. The new one is not ready yet, but I can show you guys what the new one looks like as well. So you'll probably have to use the old site for a couple of weeks until we get some of the bugs worked out. It's like, I think, been like 1 week since we've figured out the new bugs. So when we get that up to date, we'll let you guys know to transition over. And then we can also do like a refresher on the new site if you need it.
Cool. Then we might encounter a few bugs today. No worries. It wouldn't be technology without bugs.
All right, so this is the old FM tracks site. Did you guys get the FM Tracks email?
I got one, I wanna say it was last night or maybe this morning.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. I know we had a market where they were not getting it, and we had to create like a new, I think their email servicer was blocking it, and we had to create like a Google email for them just so they could get the login. So glad to hear you guys got that. All right, so this is what FM Tracks looks like. You guys are under, let's see, you're under network, so you'll have your own network with those 3 markets, the Fresh by 4Roots, which is I think it's coded for discount, and then the other 2 are coded for token.
Okay.
And then today I'll just go into the test market, just so I'm not putting in any data into your market. All right, so when you open up your market, you may or may not get this pop-up. I know some markets haven't gotten it since we've put their information into the new site. But if you do get it, this is what it looks like. So it'll pop up and ask you if you want to input data on the most recent market day. And then you can also specify, or if you're missing data from another week, you can also kind of go through and see.
Cool.
And then if for any reason you put in the wrong date, you can also click the calendar up here and change it. All right, and then at the top we have those 3 tabs: transactions, vendor reimbursement, and then post market. So the first one I'll go over is the token model, and then I'll show you guys the discount, what that looks like as well. So for our individual transactions, you'll put it in the new individual transaction tab. And then we don't accept aggregate transactions, so you'll just have to put them in under individual. All right, so under payment method, you'll keep auto calculate checked, and then you'll select the payment method. So like I said, Snap EBT or PEBT. And then let's say for this particular transaction, the shopper spent 10 in Snap, and then they were given 10 in FAB. So you'll just, for the token model, you'll put 10 on the amount that they got in FAB tokens, so 10. And then under incentives, you'll check fresh access bucks, so it'll auto calculate that for you. And then you can just check your work. So they were given 10 Snap tokens and 10 FAB tokens for a total of 20. Right, and then you'll put that customer ID and then zip code.
And the zip code, their
what was
zip code, not our zip code, right?
The customer zip code.
Okay, sorry to interrupt you.
No problem. And then these questions are optional. We don't require them. If you want to keep them, if you want to have customers fill them out just for your data purposes, you can do that. And then you'll hit submit transaction. And then at the very bottom, you can see all the transactions you've submitted thus far. And then if you need to remove one for any reason, you can do that here.
Cool. Easy peasy.
Yeah. All right. And then you'll do that for all of the transactions. And then for vendor reimbursements, you'll hit the vendor reimbursement tab. And then you'll do this for each individual vendor. So, okay. I have Heather's Happy Hens, and then you won't need gross sales. And then for the token model, you won't know if it's Snap EBT or PEBT, so we just put everything under Snap EBT because the customer will get tokens, Snap tokens for both.
Right.
And then we also won't know the number of transactions that the vendor had, so you can leave those blank.
Okay.
So you'll put the number of Snap tokens that vendor turned in, as well as the amount of FAB tokens under incentives redeemed. And then submit that reimbursement. And then again, it'll pop up down here. So under incentives redeemed, that's what will get reported to us, and that's what you guys will be reimbursed for FAB.
Got it.
And then you'll do that for each vendor. So depending on who turns in tokens that week, you might not have all of them listed. But you just do that for each vendor.
And we do that for ourselves too?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, since you guys are technically a vendor as well. And then under vendors, you can also add new vendors. So when you're doing this for the first time, you'll have to add in all of the different vendors.
Okay.
And then you also have the post-market report tab. And these questions are going to be different since we changed them for the updated site. But just to give you an idea, did you have any nutrition education activities? Did you have any other activities such as live music? How many vendors were selling that day? How many SNAP eligible vendors and FAB vendors? Staff and volunteers.
And we fill this out every week as well.
Yeah. And then for the discount market, we only have it scheduled for the post market scheduled for 1 day a week. So you don't have to do that every single day that you guys operate. Great. And then any questions for those 3 tabs?
Don't think so.
Right. Right. And then I'll show you guys the discount. All right, and that one didn't pop up for me. So I'll choose my market day. All right. So it's pretty much the same. So transactions, vendor reimbursement, and post-market. So for our individual transactions, if you have a customer who had 50% or more floating ground produce, you'll keep auto calculate checked. And then if their total was, or floating ground produce was less than half their total, you'll uncheck that. So I'll show you guys an example of both of those.
Yeah.
So let's say the customer had SNAP EBT, and we can use that example of the Florida grown kale. So for the discount model, you'll put the total. So they had $6 in kale and 4 in bread for a total of 10. And then under incentives, a $5 discount will pop up. So again, what was that?
Sorry, I'm talking to myself.
And then you can also check your work done here. The total was 10 and they were given a 50% discount. So 5 was charged to SNAP and then 5 in FAB. And then again, customer ID and the customer zip code. And then again, questions. We don't need that from you guys. And then submit. And again, these will pop up down here. And if you need to edit or delete, you can do that down here as well. All right.
And for the online market, we do this every day. Or like every day that we have a SNAP transaction.
You don't have to do it every day, but you can sit down like one day and put them all in.
Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, you would just change
the date. Got it.
And then we collect that data from the week.
Cool.
Right, and then I'll do that other example of, what was it, $6 in kale, 4 in bread, and 4 in eggs. So it was a total of 14. And then you'll check fresh access bucks under incentives. And then the $6 in kale will be free since the kale was less than half of their total. And then you can scroll down and check your work. So 8 was charged to SNAP, and then we reported 6 in fresh access bucks. And then again, you can also encourage the customer to just spend or to grab 2 more in Florida grown produce, and they'll just get 50% off. So they'll still be charged 8. They'll just get an extra $2 of produce.
So if the produce is more than 50%, we leave auto calculate checked.
Yes.
Less than 50%, we do it manually.
Yeah. And then that's where when you use your transaction log, you don't have to try and remember what happened. Right, and then again, customer ID and zip code, and then submit transaction. All right, and then for vendor reimbursement for online, the only vendor will be you guys. So you'll only have 1 vendor reimbursement. Oops. And then for discount, you will know if it's SNAP versus PEBT. And then you will also know the number of transactions.
Cool.
So let's say 10, and then I had 2, just making it numbers. All right, and then if all of your transactions are just a 50% discount, the FAB incentives redeems should match the payments redeemed, because it's just a 50% discount. If you do have those customers who have their basket is less, then these numbers might be different.
You just have to do that manually.
Yeah.
Cool.
And then, for example, this might just be like 10.
Got it.
All right, and then submit. And then it'll pop up down here. And for discount, you guys will be the only ones. And then for token model, you might have a longer list of the different vendors.
Cool.
And then again, post-market report as well. It's the same thing. And then the only difference will be like the number of vendors will just be 1.
And for the online website, you still only need to do the post-market report like once per week.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's programmed into the old FM tracks, but for the new one, it's just scheduled for once a week. The only thing it might bug you in the old site, if you have more than 1 market day to get your post-market, but we still only just need like 1 per week.
Cool.
All right, and then any questions about the discount?
Yeah.
All right, and then I'll jump into the new site so I can just show you guys what that looks like. And then the buttons and how you put stuff in is pretty much the same. It's just we haven't transitioned over yet.
Got it.
Yep, so this is the new dashboard. And for you guys, you'll have your network. And then if you click on that, it'll...
It might load.
There we go. And then you can see all of your different markets. And then I'll mess around in our test market so I don't add anything. And same thing, you can have all of your data here. And then let's say I want to put it in for our token market. And then again, it'll have the hours here. So it'll ask me for a post-market report on Saturdays, since those are my main hours. And then at the very top, you'll enter your data here. So same button, so transactions, reimbursements, and post-market. On the side here, we have the calendar displayed, so you can easily see where you've put in data. If it's a red ring, that means I haven't done a post-market for that day. And then if it's green, that means I've already filled out data for that day. There's also a little guide so you can see what the colors mean.
Cool.
And then for transactions, you hit add transaction. And then we have the customer ID up at the top. Oops. Customer zip code. I don't know why it auto-populated that. And then same thing, payment method. And then let's say this person got 10 in Snap tokens. And then you would select the incentive, which is fresh access bucks. And then it auto calculates, and they got 10 in fresh access bucks tokens. So this is why we haven't transitioned over yet. It should say 10 in Snap and then 10 in FAB for a total of 20. But once that's corrected, it will display correctly.
Yeah.
And I think like last week, we also couldn't put numbers with decimal points. So that's important for our discount markets.
Yeah.
And then again, reimbursements, same thing, vendor. You can skip gross sales, the payment method, and how many incentives they turned in, and then add reimbursement. And then our post market. So these are our updated questions that you'll have once the new site launches. And then nutrition ed events, how many vendors, how many staff and volunteers. I don't know if they're here. No, I think we got rid of those questions here. Just how many days a week did you offer SNAP and FAB, and how many hours? All right, and then any questions for the new site, or do you want to see anything else that I didn't show you guys?
I don't think so.
Okay. And then your login does work for both the old and new site. So if you did want to just mess around the new site
Play around.
to see what it looks like, yeah, you can do that as well. It's the same exact login.
And the login came from that email this morning?
Yeah, I think it's to set up the to set up an account.
Cool.
Yep. And then just let me know if for any reason it's not working or if we need to resend the email, and we can do that too. All right. And then any questions for FM tracks?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Pretty good.
And then let me just share my screen again. All right. All right, so FAB reimbursement is due on Tuesdays at 1 for the previous week. So Monday through Sunday of the previous week. And then again, we need those 3 sections complete: transactions, vendor reimbursement, and post-market for you guys to get your reimbursement. And then you'll get your direct deposit via bill.com. And then do you guys know if that's been set up yet?
I don't believe so, but I'll get with my accounting team on it.
Okay, perfect. All right, and then again, it is due at Tuesdays at 1, and then anything entered in after Tuesdays at 1 will be reimbursed on a quarterly basis. And then if you're having any trouble inputting data, or if you have any questions, you can always reach out and we'll help you with FM track support. Okay. And then any questions about reimbursement? Okay, so this is, okay. This is our FAB annual membership. So it is due November 1st after every contract year. And it's based on how much FAB you had redeemed that year. So for you all, it'll be based on your organization FAB redeemed, and it'll be due next year. So we'll count how much FAB you had redeemed from now until August, and then we send out an invoice for that. And then let's see. A FAB membership is used for program resources, technical assistance, state and national partnerships, professional development, and materials. So just an example of one of the things we used our membership fees for was that promotions mini grant. So kind of to refresh the promotion materials for vendors who needed it, kind of a refresh. And then we use the membership fees for other things as well. All right, and then weekly expectations for our FAB partners. Promote the FAB program within your community. Offer FAB each day the outlet is open. Ensure only FAB is used on Florida grown produce, and it also can be used for produce grown within 50 miles of the border. Reimburse your vendors. Submit FAB or FM tracks data on a weekly basis, and then train and monitor staff. And then monthly expectations: participate in the monthly call, which I saw you guys on the monthly call last week. And then notify the team of any staff changes, market hour or location changes. Just for staff changes, we'll be able to update our contact list, and then market hours and location changes we can update on our website locations page and map. Right. And then annual expectations: participate in the FAB annual training, which we hold, I think it's like every either July or August, depending. We have virtual trainings, and we also have in-person. We just had an in-person in July, so next year will probably be a virtual annual training. and then provide those 6 nutrition ed events, sign and return your FAB contract, and then submit a FAB application for any new markets you add on. And then any questions for the expectations?
No, I think we're good.
All right. All right, and then we have a pop quiz.
I don't miss those.
All right, so which of the following items are FAB eligible? So we have honey, microgreens, walnuts, lion's mane mushroom, cranberries, South Carolina peach tree, Florida mango jam, and dried local herbs. And let me see if I can get the poll ready.
Greens for sure.
Walnuts,
Yeah, if they were grown in Florida.
lion's mane, cranberries, not the peach tree, not the mango jam,
I don't know about the dried herbs.
because they're dried is why I don't know.
All right. All right. And we actually just had a training and they asked the same thing about walnuts, and we're currently in debate. So we'll have an answer for you on that next week. So microgreens, lion's mane mushroom, South Carolina peach tree, and then dried local herbs. And then any questions about any of those?
Why the peach tree?
So the peach tree is because it is considered like a plant start or a plant, and you would plant it in your home and it'd technically be Florida produce at that point.
Okay.
Yeah, so any like fruit trees, plant starts are FAB eligible.
Okay.
And even if they originate in South Carolina in this example.
Yeah.
Hi.
I love it.
This Jordan,
Yeah.
we just get started? Are you
Uh,
almost finished?
we're probably closer.
Probably closer to finishing than we are.
Yeah. I'm just finishing up, so. that's it. Hi, Jordan, I'll learn from these two, okay?
All right. And I have I'll send you a recording as well. So
Okay, sounds great. Bye.
All right, so which of the following items are SNAP eligible? So hot coffee, elderberry syrup, decorative gourds, hemp-infused honey, packet of basil seeds, yogurt labeled for pet consumption, and then Thanksgiving turkey processed with a limited poultry license, and live shrimp.
So no. Yes. 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 No. Is the Thanksgiving turkey cooked?
No.
Then yes. And yes.
So the hot coffee. Okay. We got the decorative gourds wrong.
Yeah, the only one we got wrong.
Because they're decorative, not for consumption. And then any questions about the SNAP eligible items?
I don't think so.
Okay.
The decorative part was just because they're decorative. You can't
Yeah.
eat them. Got it.
All right. So a shopper purchases a bunch of radishes for $3 and pays with a $5 SNAP token. What could the vendor do? Give the shopper $2 back in cash, keep the change, add more radishes to bring the total to $5. Give the shopper $2 back in SNAP tokens, give the shopper $2 back in FAB tokens, and then send the shopper to the SNAP booth to exchange the 5 SNAP token for 5 individual $1 SNAP tokens.
I think yes.
Yeah.
So no, yes, 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 no, yes. Bakery?
Oh,
All right. Here are the answers. Did you get most of them right?
Walk us through the top. No, the top one's good. Walk us through the keep the change. I think that's the only one we got wrong.
Keep the change is just because they have a $5 SNAP token and they paid only $3. So the vendor can't keep that extra change. So it'd be
Okay.
like paying $5 for a $3 item.
Gotcha. Cool.
Mhm. All right, a little bit of math. A customer purchases 2 dozen eggs for $12, Florida-grown kale for $3, Florida-grown tomatoes for $5, and a fruit tree for $20. How much would they be charged in SNAP, and what would you report for FAB? These are the possible answers.
This is using the discount model.
Yeah.
Move our faces out of the way. 8, 20.
They're spending $40, but only,
Yeah.
but that's not included in FAB, so it's more than the total.
Yeah. So they're just getting,
20.
yeah.
It's the top one.
Correct. Yep, so this would be the Florida grown produce is more than 50% of the total, so they would get a 50% discount off the entire total. All right, so a customer purchases 2 dozen eggs for 12, a loaf of bread for 5, honey for 8, 3 apples for $3, Florida grown carrots for 3, Florida grown strawberries for 6. How much would they be charged in SNAP, and what would you report for FAB?
Produce is free.
Those 3 apples, so are Florida grown.
Okay, so 9. So 28 and 9. 12, 5. Oh yeah. Okay,
Yep.
cool.
And then, yes, so the Florida grown carrots and strawberries are less than half the total, so they would get those for free.
You guys start some trick questions.
I know you're like, oh, apples, wait. All right, a customer purchases a produce box, all Florida grown produce for $25, and would also like honey for $8 and cut flowers for $6. How much should they be charged in SNAP, and what would you report for FAB?
Three, so 1650, 1650.
Yep. So the flowers don't count for SNAP or FAB, so you just calculate with the Florida grown produce and the honey.
Cool.
All right, so what day and time is your FM Tracks data due each week for reimbursement?
Is it Tuesday at 1?
It is. All right, and what happens if you miss the weekly reimbursement deadline?
We get paid quarterly.
Yeah. So we'll submit that reimbursement on a quarterly basis.
It's good incentive.
Yeah. All right, and then any questions about the pop quiz before we move on?
No, ma'am.
All right. So I'm just going to go over a couple of resources before we wrap up, and then we'll be done for the day. But like I mentioned, we have our FAB toolkit, and you can find nutrition education resources, promotional materials, disaster response resources, information about FM Tracks. We also have a SNAP Tech support section, and then just general ideas for your market. Oops. All right, so for SNAP Tech support, if you run into any EBT equipment issues, we kind of have a troubleshooting guide. We also have, I think, a list of the different contacts for the different EBT equipment vendors. And then we also have our promotional material section. So this is where you'll find a bunch of PDFs. We also have editable PDFs, printables that you can use at your markets. And then you'll also find those token signage in the promotional materials as well. All right, and then where you can find FAB, once you guys let me know your launch date, you'll also be added to this page. So it has an interactive map where customers can find FAB locations by outlet type. And then we also have a list of outlets by county as well. Okay, and then we also have a Snap customer resource page. So just a general, how does FAB work? Where they can find locations. Their market map is linked here as well. And then in that FAB toolkit, we also have a section for community partner resources. So if you're working with any community partners, there are printables that they can print and hand out to any customers or clients, and flyers as well.
Cool.
All right, and then that's it. Do you guys have any questions in general?
You said you were going to email over the toolkit, right, with all the
Yeah.
printout stuff. Amazing.
Yeah, so I'll email probably Monday. It has like the toolkit. I'll also email any follow-up, so like the bill.com, just so you guys remember to do that. And then also like your market days, so I can add those to the map. So yeah, all the information we went over, I'll also send link the recording as well.
Cool. That email that went to him this morning, can he just like forward that to me and I can still use the link in there to set it up? Amazing. And then probably shouldn't do it this Saturday. We probably have to run Karim through this stuff, but do you want to try and shoot for the following Saturday?
Yeah.
Okay. And then we'll be off for the Thanksgiving Saturday.
Okay.
We'll definitely follow up if, like, when we have a set date, but for now, we're gonna shoot for next Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah, and then we'll be off the 25th, and then we'll be out there for the 2nd.
Nice. And then Josh, are you going to be doing FM tracks?
Yeah, that'll be my the woods.
Okay. I know, because we have our contact sheet, and then I think general FAB is Shane, and then I'll put Josh as the FM tracks contact.
Yeah.
Just in case, like during reimbursement, we like rotate every week. So if someone else needs to reach out, they know who to reach out to.
Yeah.
All right, perfect. And then anything else?
I think that's everything.
Okay. All right. And then did Megan follow up with you guys for promotional materials?
It might be in my email, but I haven't seen anything myself, but it could very well be in my
Okay.
email.
And then I can check in with her on Monday because we have our staff call, and I'll ask.
If it's not in there, I could just email you, or should I email Megan?
If not, if Megan hasn't sent it out, I can copy both of you guys on Monday.
Sweet.
Cool.
Perfect. All right. Well, excited to have a new market.
We're
Yeah.
excited to offer it.
All right, and then keep me posted on Forage. That'll be great. I think that'll be like one of the only markets in our network that will have online Snap. That's cool.
Yeah, hopefully we sent them the contract on Wednesday, I think.
Yeah.
So hopefully they'll get back to us beginning of next week at the latest, and then we can kind of get the ball rolling on that.
Nice. All right. Well, if we don't have any other questions, you guys are free to go. And then, like I said, Monday, look out for that follow-up email.
Awesome.
It's good.
Thanks so much.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
All right, you too.
Bye-bye.